Good morning and welcome to the Christopher Iannella Chamber. My name is City Councilor Matt O'Malley, Chair of the Committee on Environment, Sustainability and Parks. We are here today to discuss docket number 0193, an order authorizing the City of Boston to accept and expand a grant of $1 million from the U.S. Department of the Interior under the Land and Water Conservation Fund Act of 1965 to be administered by the Boston Parks and Recreations Department. The purpose of this grant is to make capital improvements and to permanently dedicate McConnell Park in Savin Hill for park and playground purposes. This comprehensive park renovation will total $3 million. This in capital expenditures. It will include a play lot, fields, passive space, parking, utility improvements, as well as improved access. McConnell Park is located off of Dorchester Bay in Savin Hill. It's formerly known as Savin Hill Playground and was established in 1899. It is a well-loved destination for playing ball. We are joined today by Aldo Guerin, who is the Senior Planner for the Parks and Recreations Department, as well as Parks and Recreation Department Commissioner Ryan Woods. Gentlemen, welcome both. Thank you for your great work. We're also joined by the host councilor, District 3 Councilor Frank Baker, as well as the District 2 Councilor, Councilor Ed Flynn. Councilors Baker or Flynn, do either of you have any opening comments?
Thank you, Councilor O'Malley, and thank you to the panelists for being here and for your important work on this renovation. I saw McConnell Park and Playground. There'll be a ball field that will be Boston's first inclusive ball field. Could you give a little bit of background information on that?
Well, if I may, maybe that's a great question, but maybe we'll start with the presentation, then we'll get into more specifics, if that's all right, Councilor Flynn, just to give you guys to sort of set the table. I don't know, sure. Commissioner, if you had an opening statement, or Aldo.
Aldo's going to walk us through.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, great. So thank you for the opportunity to speak this morning. The Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs for the state manages this program on behalf of the federal government. So this Land and Water Conservation Fund grant is for $1 million. It's the maximum grant that they offered in that grant round last year. So we're now in the process of filling out all the grant paperwork, and this is part of that process, is to get the approval of the council. So McConnell is a 7-acre park. It has various fields, a playground, and as the councilor noted, it has a great location on Dorchester Bay. So on the one hand, we're going to be, with this construction project, making a better arrangement of the fields so that it's more productive, more opportunity for access for people who want to use the fields. But also we're going to be redesigning this to better accommodate the downside of being near Dorchester Bay, which is sea level rise that's anticipated, plus more frequent coastal storms due to the climate crisis. So one of the things we're doing is we're changing the mix of fields from a men's ball field to women's softball fields and an undersized soccer field in the shared outfields to an official Little League field, a practice Little League and softball field that is shared with a multi-use field. That's this. The Little League field is here. And then there will also be a new Challenger field. This is the first time in the Parks Department that we have a field dedicated for inclusive play, meaning play not only for able-bodied children, but also the disabled as well. So with this multi-use field, that's dedicated purely for soccer, so that when soccer is in play there, only one of the fields rather than the outfields of 3 fields are going to be not available. So that makes these 2 fields more usable. So as I mentioned, we're going to be making the fields more climate resilient. Part of it is we're doing the artificial turf in at least 2 of the fields. That way there's less downtime. Also with the kind of landscaping we're doing, rain gardens between the fields, etc. That'll better accommodate the storm water that comes in et cetera. We're going to be adding a new walking loop for walking, running, and also by use by persons with disabilities. We're going to have interpretive signage to explain all the climate resiliency measures. New benches will be there, a bike rack will be there, and of course we're going to be working with the MR8 Foundation, that's the foundation named after Martin Richard, who are going to be programming for inclusive play programs in both of these fields. I also wanted to point out a pretty major redo here in the parking area. This area is actually part of the park, but it's been sort of this open area, and parking has been kind of very scattershot and has made emergency access difficult. We're now organizing this better so that it's, parking is more organized and the roadway is definitely defined so that emergency vehicles can come in and out easily. We're also creating, new playground, a new entry plaza, some amphitheater seating in the open lawn area, and in this existing walkway here, we're formalizing it with an alley of trees. That means we're going to be adding more biomass for carbon sequestration. So, and obviously, in keeping and improving the access to Malibu Beach, which is a very attractive feature of this area. So, we've held 3 community meetings on this project, and we anticipate beginning construction this spring and completing the project by June of next year. And on behalf of the commissioner here, I hope we can get your committee's recommendation for full council approval.
I'm not a betting man, Aldo, but I would venture a guess you're in pretty good shape to get the full committee and council's approval. I think this is obviously exciting. I'm going to defer to the host councilor, but I wanted to just note how much Mayor Walsh, your predecessor, former commissioner, now Chief Cook, and Commissioner Woods and your teams have really had such a great commitment to Boston's parks and open spaces. It's been really remarkable the last couple of years just to see the dedication, the thoughtful approach to parks, the fact that we are specifically using parks as a way to address sustainability and resiliency, which is absolutely crucial. We all agree that parks are for people, but parks are also for this planet. And if done right, as is evidenced in these proposals, we can use it to mitigate stormwater runoff, to mitigate flooding, so many things, grow our tree canopy. So this is obviously very, very exciting. And you've answered every question I have. Should we pass this, the timeline would begin in earnest in a couple months, I'd assume, although if that was construction, would be this spring?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and then finished, you think, by the early summer of 2021?
Exactly.
Okay, that's great. Councilor Flynn, if you want to ask your question now. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor O'Malley, and again, thank you to the panelists for being here, for your important work on working closely with residents, working closely with the mayor's office on building our parks and recreation and open space. I also want to acknowledge the excellent work of Councilor Baker as well in working closely with the mayor's office in the Parks Department on this project. I just wanted to comment on the Challenger field, and I think it's one of the best things I ever heard sitting in this seat. My nephew plays in a Challenger field in the South Shore, and my parents coach the team, and it brings so much joy and happiness to children with special needs that they're able to play in a baseball field. They're able to play a little bit of competitive baseball and learn about the game and have fun with their peers. So I just want to acknowledge the outstanding compassion, is the word I would call it, to persons with disabilities, making sure that our parks are open to them as well. And I'm just so proud to support this project. And, I just want to thank the mayor's office. I want to thank Councilor Baker and the Parks Department for being inclusive and making sure that there's space in our parks for children with disabilities. So I'm looking forward to supporting this project. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Flynn. Councilor Baker?
Thank you guys for coming out. This is great. Does the 1 million have to be spent, like, specifically on resiliency pieces of this project?
Oh, no.
So the million just helps us to be able to pay for the whole project?
Oh, yes.
Excellent. What two fields are artificial turf? The Challenger and the Little League field?
So it's the Challenger field, and then what's formerly known as the men's softball field in the back, Major B Diamond. This is going to be a natural turf where the Little League field will be. So we'll have natural grass where the Major A or Little League field is, and then the multi-purpose and the Challenger / inclusive play.
Okay, and are there any different levels to capture the water coming in? Like, where will, when the water comes from the bay, is there areas here, like where exactly are they gonna, where are we gonna catch the water?
It is raised, certain levels are raised, but they are the addition of rain gardens that
Yeah.
are going throughout. We know that we're going to take on water in certain parts of the park, so
Yeah.
strategically they're putting these rain gardens in to try to capture as much as they can from the stormwater that approaches.
And Ryan, you had mentioned to me, what I think we were standing down there, we were moving the stone also, rededication. What is that stone anyway?
So that stone was put in place with a plaque back in, I believe, the 1970s. It's been missing for decades. That was dedicated the park to McConnell, the United States veteran.
Yeah.
So it used to be over here on the lawn panel. It'd now be a formalized entry plaza. So we're looking maybe at an American flag, but the entry plaza, so when you're coming into the park, people can actually get the history and get the story of who McConnell was and behind this park. So the rock would be moving from its previous spot over here, but in a more prominent position.
And then what happens to the road that runs along, that runs in between the playground, and does that move?
It stays there, but it's more cautious. Instead of people crossing through a road, they're more driving through a playground
Okay.
type of area, so it's more strategic, so it's obviously a slower zone.
Yeah.
It's separated from the playground area completely, but it's more the driving through the entry plaza instead of just kids walking through, being in danger of passing cars.
Excellent. You gave us time frame already starting in the spring.
Yes, and I believe we'll be asking for additional capital funds in the upcoming budget as well to make sure we can complete this project, because we view it as coming in a little higher than the $3 million.
Yeah, probably. And the walking path is a good addition around the.
Yes, we've been working with Age Strong purposely in all of our parks to make sure not only that they have walking pathways, but a lot of the guardians that are taking care of park users are older adults, and making sure we design parks with them in mind as well. So making sure our benches have the appropriate armrest to help get up and sit down, but have walking paths and additional things for older adults to use while they're at the park.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Senior Planner. Are there water filling stations as part of these specs?
There will be water filling stations
Yeah,
as
we
part
have
of
a
this.
policy now of any project in a park with fields, athletic fields, which naturally will have, lots of, league play, that,
Yeah.
we would have water, bottle filling stations,
Yeah,
for sure.
I had a hearing order on water filling stations back in 2011 when that was seen as a step to address climate change. An important one, but I'm glad that we're looking even beyond that, so that's just exciting.
And we're very excited. Youth Lead the Change is supported greatly with, I think, a $333,000 grant to increase water filling stations throughout the parks. So we hope to continue this in every design.
Fantastic, that's great. I have no further questions. I don't know, gentlemen, if you had any other statements or... this is obviously a no-brainer. It's exciting. I look forward to visiting my good colleague and friend's district next summer, and maybe we'll take a little walk on some of those great walking paths. So it's great news. We'll be doing a affirmative vote on this tomorrow, and appreciate you guys for your great work. I neglected to mention at the beginning of this hearing that it's being streamed and broadcast live. We also have an opportunity for public testimony. I don't believe we have any public testimony. Any letters? Perfect. So having said that, the Council Committee's hearing on docket 0193 is hereby adjourned. Thank you.